Welcome back to the Token Launch Masterclass. This is episode 9, and let's be direct. This is one of the most critical topics we'll cover. We're calling this the lead investor effect, how to anchor your round and create FOMO. I want you to think about something. What's the secret ingredient that turns a struggling 6-month fundraise into an oversubscribed hot round that closes in a few weeks? I've seen teams with great tech go nowhere, and I've seen others become sought-after deals. The difference, more often than not, is one thing: a credible lead investor. In this episode, we're going to demystify this entire process. We're not talking theory. We're talking about the specific, strategic role a lead plays in validating your project, setting the terms, and manufacturing the momentum you need to succeed. Stick around. All right. So let's get on the same page. What exactly is a lead investor? You might find it useful to think of them not just as an investor, but as the architect of your funding round. They are completely different from a follow-on investor. Follow-on investors join once the terms are set. The lead sets the terms. What I like to see is a lead who takes charge. They are responsible for negotiating the valuation. They conduct the most intensive deep dive due diligence. And critically, they commit a major chunk of the capital. We're talking anywhere from 20 to 50% of the total round. You have to understand, their contribution is far more than just cash. They're putting their firm's reputation on the line, signaling to everyone else that your project is the real deal. Now, if you take away only one thing from this episode, let it be this: the most crucial function of a lead investor isn't the money, it's the signal they send to the market. What I've seen time and again is that a reputable lead acts as a powerful public endorsement. They are essentially telling the rest of the venture world, we've spent hundreds of hours digging into this. We've vetted the code, the tokenomics, the team, and we are staking our reputation on their success. You might find this single act changes everything. It dramatically reduces the friction for every other fund you talk to. They can rely on the lead's heavy lifting on diligence, which speeds up their own process from weeks to days. This signal is what kicks off the cascade, accelerating your entire fundraise and building that critical momentum. So this brings us to a critical question. What separates a good lead from a transformative one? It's easy to get starstruck by a big fund name, but what I like to see founders focus on is strategic fit, not just the size of the check. You might find that the best partner is one who lives and breathes your specific niche. If you're building something complex with ZK proofs, does the investor leading your round truly understand the tech? If you're in GameFi, have they backed and helped scale other successful games? Deep domain expertise isn't a nice to have, it's essential. What I also look for is their tangible value add. Can they genuinely help pressure test your tokenomics? Do they have a network that actually opens doors for key hires or exchange listings? You aren't just looking for a bank. You're looking for a strategic partner for the long haul. Now let's talk about the psychological power of what happens next. There's a concept in behavioral economics called anchoring, and you might find it's the most potent force in your fundraise. What I like to see is the lead investor's commitment acting as this very anchor. The moment they sign the term sheet, they lock in the valuation. That number is no longer just a figure on your pitch deck. It's the accepted baseline for the entire round. It solidifies the terms and gives the round a tangible momentum it didn't have before. The entire conversation shifts. You're no longer discussing a theoretical possibility. You're presenting a concrete opportunity that others can now join. It creates a center of gravity, making it much easier for everyone else to make their decision. So, how do you actually get on the radar of these ideal leads? What I've seen work best is playing the long game, long before you ever ask for a check. This isn't about a hard sell. It's about relationship building, months in advance. You might find it useful to start with a highly curated target list, maybe 10 funds that are a perfect fit. Then, the real groundwork begins. What I like to see is thoughtful engagement. Follow the partners, read their content, understand their investment thesis. When you're ready, look for a warm introduction. And in the meantime, send them occasional high-signal updates, a key hire, a product milestone. The goal here is simple. By the time you're ready to raise, you won't be a cold email. You'll be a familiar name they already know and respect, making that first conversation so much warmer. All right, so you've landed the meeting. Now, the pitch to a potential lead is a completely different beast than one for a follow-on. What I like to see is a founder who shifts their mindset. You're not just asking for capital. You're asking them to put their firm's reputation on the line for you. You might find that your pitch needs to be far more comprehensive. Go beyond the high-level vision and dive deep into the technical weeds and the nitty-gritty of your tokenomic model. What I also look for is a bulletproof go-to-market strategy and absolute transparency on how every single dollar will be used. Your entire presentation has to answer their unspoken question. We see hundreds of deals, so why are you the one we should stake our name on? It's about demonstrating why you are the perfect partner for them, specifically. Now, let's talk about a specific strategy that can dramatically increase your odds with a lead. What I like to see is founders using a powerful tactic called soft circling before they even have a term sheet. This means you go to your friendly, potential follow-on investors and you get their non-binding commitment. You might find it completely changes the dynamic when you can walk into a potential lead's office and say, "We are raising a $5 million round and we already have $2 million in soft commitments from other reputable funds." Suddenly, you've de-risked the entire proposition for them. It shows them they won't be the only one at the table, and it proves there's already significant market interest, making it a much easier yes for them to lead. Okay, this is the inflection point. The term sheet from your lead investor is signed. Everything changes now. What I like to see is a founder immediately shift their mindset from fundraising to allocation management. The momentum you've built now needs to be converted into genuine urgency. So what I do is run a very tight process from this point on. You might find it powerful to strategically let other interested funds know that the lead is in and the round is filling up fast. The communication changes completely. It's no longer, "Are you interested in our round?" It becomes, "The round is closing next Friday and we have limited allocation left. Please let us know your final decision by Wednesday." You're not asking anymore. You're offering a scarce opportunity. This is how you manufacture true FOMO. Now, it's worth exploring the alternative, a scenario I often caution founders against. It's what's known as the party round, or a leaderless round. What I see here is a fundraise patched together from maybe 10, 15, or even 20 small checks without any single fund anchoring it. On the surface, the money is in the bank, so it feels like a win. But you might find this creates serious long-term problems. The signal it sends to later-stage investors is weak. They'll wonder why no one had enough conviction to lead. What I also see is an incredibly messy and fragmented cap table that becomes a headache to manage. But the biggest risk, when you inevitably face challenges, you don't have that one dedicated, high-conviction partner to call for support. You have a dozen small investors, but no one who truly has their neck on the line with you. Let's make this tangible and look at a real-world example. What I like to point to is a project like Celestia. You might find it interesting that their early seed round was co-led by giants like Bain Capital Crypto and Polychain Capital. Now, that's not just about the capital. It's about the broadcast level signal it sends to the entire market. What I saw happen next was a classic cascade. That early high conviction backing acted as a powerful endorsement. It told everyone that the deep technical diligence on their modular blockchain thesis was done, and it was worth betting on. This validation didn't just attract a flood of other top-tier funds in subsequent rounds. It attracted world-class developers and projects to build on their ecosystem. That's the lead investor effect in its purest form. It's not just anchoring a round, but anchoring an entire community. So, as we wrap up, what I really want you to take away is this. A lead investor isn't just another check. You might find they are the strategic multiplier who anchors your entire round and provides the critical social proof that manufactures FOMO. What I like to see founders do is focus on a few key actions. First, be strategic and build that curated target list months in advance. Second, de-risk the proposition for them by securing soft circles. And third, once that lead is committed, shift gears immediately to create urgency and close the round. Now, securing that investor interest is one thing, but you have to be prepared for the intense scrutiny that follows. That's why I'm excited for our next episode. Join us for episode 10, The Art of the Data Room, Streamlining Due Diligence for Crypto VCs, where we'll show you how to build a data room that accelerates your closing process. Thanks for tuning in to the Token Launch Masterclass.